You ever been at a low place in your life? Like a really low place, like a place where every month you grind, you're not really sure how you're going to pay your bills, but you have one or two motivations. Maybe it's your family or something else. And you keep chipping away at it until one minute you're given hope, only to find out that somebody scammed you. Because I was scammed into trading the futures markets. Yet I'm here on this channel because of this. And I thought it would be great to warn you guys of some of the stuff you're up against if you're in this and validate some of the things that maybe you've experienced because getting scammed into trading changed my life. But I stuck through, and I fear a lot of you won't. So, my name is Stephen J. Campbell, and I got scammed into trading. This is my story, and let's just get on with it. So, I'll remember this day for as long as God allows me to keep my faculties. I was on a residential street walking past homes worth $4 million dollars on a live stream on my separate channel, Not Leaving Las Vegas, in front of 600 people. I remember that was the day that somebody told me that they don't care about what war does to the stock market because they trade futures and they make money when it goes down. Now, this apparently, according to the person that got me into all of this, start off a chain of events that was brought to him by God. Let me explain. That's a weird one, and it'll make a lot more sense with some context. See, I have a channel called Not Leaving Las Vegas. Now, don't go and click on it unless you really like Vegas stuff, but I show people the city and I do live streams. Sometimes I show them the real life Las Vegas. But the previous night, I remember being on the main Las Vegas strip with all of these people that perform, street performers, finding a guy that did Christian hip hop who I wanted to feature because I thought it was really cool to get some of that word out, and learning that his Bluetooth had died. Now, on that stream, I offered him something. I said, well, and I did it live on camera. I said, give me your phone number, give me your contact information, and I'll get back with you, and maybe I can connect you with the biggest church in town, and maybe I can get you with their people because what you do is really cool. And I worked on trying to help him out because so long as I've always been a follower of Jesus, I've just been like that. I always want to help people. I want to leave the room better than when you came in it. That's kind of what you have to follow, I guess. Now, this is the part that's going to focus around the God thing. So you're going to have to bear through it if it bothers you, but just trust me, it's going to pay off. There's a reason I said this. Because at the time, I was doing that thing that people do. They get into crypto, they don't know what they're doing. They take advice from a friend who says, bro, you should buy this crypto. It's going to be the next Bitcoin. Tell me in the comments if you've ever heard that before. And a global conflict had happened, and it turns out that the developers of the crypto that was supposed to be the next big thing, where they were in a country involved, and all of a sudden my investment had tanked. So the very next day, when I'm walking past $4 million homes, showing people how the rich people in town live, I remember the conversation going towards geopolitical stuff. And all I mentioned was the following. I said, well, I don't know much about that stuff, but you really guys should know, like, the markets might tank tomorrow when they open. It was a Sunday, I was doing the stream, and Monday is, of course, market open. And that's when I had that message. And like I said, I'll remember where I was and when I was, and it was clear as day. I trade the futures markets, this viewer had said. I make money when it goes up, but I can make money tomorrow when it goes down. And for some reason, that flipped a switch in my head. I was intrigued. Now, mind you, like at the time, that channel had 50,000 followers. It has over 100,000 now, which explains that thing on my wall. But still, four or 500 different comments in the chat. There's a reason I saw that one. If you want to talk about destiny, if you want to talk about whatever you think might happen and align things for you in life, maybe the planets aligned. And so I offered him, I said, look, send me an email. Now, half the time you'll hear a comment like this, you'll never hear back from the person. But this person sent me an email within 5 minutes. I wasn't even finished my stream for another hour. And he had already sent me an email and a follow-up email to make sure I got his first email. And this is what I should have probably seen and identified, but I was naive enough to listen to this person. And before you knew it, I was on a phone call with him where he was telling me all sorts of stuff. I mean, and it was a lot of technical gobbledygook too. You know, Here's something I know to be certain, right? You can say a lot of really smart sounding things and not be speaking anything of the truth, but people who don't know any better, they'll listen to you. And they'll pay attention to what you have to say. Like if you're going to the garage to get your car serviced, you don't know what the problem is. It could be something as simple as a $10 fix, a little part, and $30 of shop labor. They might tell you, oh, yeah, your biscuit joint is out of whack. We're going to have to replace that. And you also have a flinker dinkle that needs replacing. That's in the siphons of the car. I mean, it's just nonsense, but you're sitting there, you're like, oh, geez, how much is that going to cost? Well, the good news is it's supposed to be $4,000, but I can do it for 2,500 if you don't tell my boss. They are the boss. You're being scammed. Run in the opposite direction. But I listened to this person when he filled me full of gobbledygook, and that was on me. I didn't educate myself. I didn't know enough. I hadn't watched a YouTube video on trading the futures market. I didn't type in what is the futures. I didn't know anything about this stuff. For all I knew, it was some kind of magical thing. He made it sound magical because in that first call, he told me, you'll make $10,000 a month in the first 30 days. You just have to listen to what I'm telling you. I said, how is that even possible? He goes, well, it's really easy. I have a Discord server. Now, if you know me, if you're one of my students, I'm not on Discord. I was on Discord. I shut the Discord down. Why did I shut it down? Because I had a Discord server that started to get a lot of traction when I was just doing this as a struggling trader. And when the Discord server got traction and I was the admin, the minute that I had the Discord server, it was nothing but people trying to copy me. Somebody would join, they'd be new, I'd get a message, hey, Steven, is this you? It looks just like you. I tried everything I could to stop the scams on Discord. I simply couldn't do it. Same thing on YouTube nowadays, right? On the Vegas channel, I get people that are being scammed by somebody who's impersonating me. So Discord should have been a red flag. I'm sure there's some great Discord people out there. You might be one of them, but there it was. He says, I have a Discord. And on that Discord, every morning, I'm there for you. Now, you come in, you watch my screen, you have the same screen up. We're trading ES. I don't know, what is ES? I don't. We're trading ES. I'm trading SPY. I'm trading NQ. I'm trading YM. More terms. Oh my gosh, I'm dazzled. Wow, this guy really knows his stuff. And I tell you when to enter, when to exit. And it's so simple. Let me show you something. So he sends me a screen recording. It's a chart. It's ES. It's SP 500 futures. He's showing me an entry bar. It's a candle. It's price action. He's like, all you got to do, you got to set your stop loss at 150 and set your take profit at 150. And if you do that, when you see a bar that's big like this, you'll make money every single time. I said, wait, you're going to call out the shots? I don't even have to think about it? Yes. I said, why are you doing this? This is because I care, man. Because I watched you try to help a Christian. And then he went on a big, long story about being an orphan. And I don't want to get too far into it because I don't want to identify the person, but how he was adopted and Christianity changed his life. And I'm going to change your life too. And I'm on a mission from God. And this is what I have to do. And he tells me the very best thing of all, the very best thing of all. I mean, he only has to charge me $100 a month for the Discord. I thought, wow, like at the time, I didn't have $100 a month. I didn't have $50 to put proper gas in my car. I'm going to the gas station with a beat up vehicle that I can put $5 to get to the strip to stream so I can hopefully make some donations and then get home and have money left over to squirrel away for rent and groceries. And I hem and I haw, and I'm like, wow, man, this is like a great opportunity. Look, and I have my pride. And we all do. You do too. I say, I'm going to have to let you know about this. And he goes, well, look, I'll make you a deal. If it's just the money, we can always work with that. I mean, obviously, we could do some trade. Now we're wheeling and dealing, right? And what was the trade? The trade was simple, right? I know how to grow YouTube channels. He knows how to trade the markets. He'll give me everything he has to offer. All I got to do is help him grow a YouTube presence. Now, in the process, he tells me things like, I could have sent you $10,000 as a Cash App. I don't even know if you can send a Cash App that much. For all I know, you can't. But he says, but I'd rather teach you this skill because trust me on this. Trust me, bro. You'll be hyper profitable before you know it. I can tell you're super smart. And that's what the hallmarks are of what's going on here. I'm not even seeing it, right? Because I've got the water up to my nose. And to me, any rope that's being thrown in my general direction is the best rope in the world. So I bite, of course, right? And that's where we get to the pattern. That's where we get to things seem wrong, but I just kept going deeper. Because even though he waived that $100, he told me something that I don't tell anybody. I teach people to do the opposite of what he did with me. But right from the get go, I was actually making him money without me even knowing it. Because the first thing he said was, unfortunately, there is one thing, but don't worry, it's not $100 and you only have to do it once. I said, what's that? He goes, well, you need this type of account. Now, this is where we get into where things start to unravel. But the account he's talking about is a prop firm account with a company called Apex Trader Funding. Now, years and years ago, Apex Trader Funding was considered a great company. Now, I'm not saying they're not a good company now for legal reasons. Do your own research on Apex if you want to use them. If you don't, if you have an opinion, put it in the chats. Maybe it'll help somebody doing their research. But he gives me a link and tells me I need to buy an account. But the good news is it's 90% off and it's only going to cost me $14 or something like this. And then I only need one of these because after I pass, which I'll do so easily in a day or two with his help, I'll be able to get funded and I'll be getting deposits every 10 days into my account. That was their rules at the time. It may be different now. And so I begrudgingly buy that account, not knowing that what I just got into was a trap that so many traders get into and it can wipe them out. Because during this time, I met other people that were like him, people that weren't even from this town who just met him at a poker table, people who liked to gamble, who he convinced could have all their money problems solved if only they go into his Discord and pay him $100 a month or do some kind of trade and buy with this account right here. And they did the same thing that I did for a very long time. They would go in, find out that he was full of it, and we'll get to that in a minute, end up resetting the account. And every single time you guys get a prop firm link and you click it and you reset it, it makes money for somebody else. Now, I put this in full disclosure in what I do with my students because that's the rules. That's the law. I like to stay compliant, but a lot of people don't. And he certainly didn't with me. So here I go. I'm on my trading journey, right? I'm waking up with sleep in my eyes at 5:30 in the morning because he tells me I have to trade pre-market. You don't have to trade pre-market. He tells me that I have to trade power hour. That's the last hour of the market on the futures market. You don't have to trade power hour. He tells me I should be trading gold at 5 p.m. I should be trading this. I should be trading that. And every time I blow one of these accounts, I get a little bit less financially secure and I get a little bit more frustrated. And my wife thinks I'm a little bit crazier than I was the previous day, to a point where 3, 4 weeks in, obviously nothing's changing. And I start to ask him for help. So we get some help. We jump on a call. Jumps on a call. Now, this is so long ago that Skype was still a thing. So I get on this call with a Skype call with him and more gobbledygook. I didn't understand anything. He didn't explain what a moving average was. He didn't explain what levels were. He didn't explain what patterns were, but it was so much technical stuff about liquidity sweeps and yeah, average gap trading and all these things that I'm sure that they exist in a system somewhere, but the way he explained them to me was like me trying to explain the complicated business of Las Vegas and how casinos operate, which I can do to my YouTube audience, to a 6-year-old child who asks me, why does the Luxor have a big light on top of it? because it looks shiny and people go and take pictures is the answer. It's not because way back in the day there was a company called Circus Enterprises and they had a thing and then they made a thing and they wanted a feature. And back in the 90s, there was no social media. So they got lots of free PR by making a light. That's the answer he gave me, you see. But I stuck with it. I stuck with it until I found somebody in the group that wanted to help. And they helped me out in a tremendous way and turned me on to price action and the real way of trading. And I stuck with it because my motivation was sheer, just ravenous desperation, just absolute desperation. And I went through all of the stages of trader desperation. But along the way, I said, well, I have nothing right now, right? I have a sales job that pays me only commissions, and the economy wasn't so good. Okay. I have no education, literally no education. I tell people I'm a high school dropout. That may make you not want to listen to me, but I got a lot of life experience. And I was always the smart kid in school, which will hurt you in trading because you will overthink things. And I had to learn how to put that noise level down in my head. But I had basically been looking down the double barrel of a you know what, GUN, for YouTube censorship reasons. And I didn't know what else to do. But I knew that the markets were arbitrary. See, they didn't care about, you and who you were and what your background was. They were there to take your money. But if you could, and if you could figure out a way to take little bits of money off of the markets and get in and get out, like a fly on top of an elephant before the tail whips the fly off the elephant's butt, then you're going to get everything you need. Plus, you could get a little bit more. And things started to progress and things started to rapidly deteriorate with the person who brought me in. One day we found out because somebody in this group on Discord asked him how the payouts work for a prop firm. And when he named incorrect steps, demonstrating he didn't know, we understood that he wasn't even using the prop firm, or if he was, he never got a single payout on the prop firm because he didn't know how the payout process worked with that firm. We caught him in that. We caught him taking other people's money and offering to invest it in the market. And I will trade your funds and help it grow, only to be to the point where there were people in there so desperate because they basically got robbed by the guy that they were threatening to go to the Nevada State Attorney General because, surprise, surprise, he didn't have the proper credentials to invest any money. You need to have FINRA specifications, and the government needs to certify you. He had none of that stuff. He just had a proclivity to play cards in town and take people's money and spend, spend, spend. This is all allegedly, by the way. And I'm not even naming the person, but we have to say these things on public platforms like YouTube. Okay. So we found out that he was trading options. He wasn't trading any futures charts. We found out that sometimes he'd win, most days he would lose. And we found out that he was taking other people's money and not giving them any dollars back, and certainly not investing anything with anybody until people put the screws to him to a point. But by then, I had left. I remember being on one of his teaching trading seminar things one day, and it's Discord, so everybody can share their screen. One guy shared his screen, and he had this guy who he was charging $100 a month to, trading on a Meta Oculus Quest Go or whatever, a headset. Now, yeah, sure, there's a web browser inside the headset, but it certainly isn't the best, most optimal way to trade the markets. That's a no-no. But hey, he was paying $100, so it was okay by him. These are the ways that I had to fight out of the paradigm and the stages of the trader. It goes something like this, right? You get into trading. At first, it could be great. First, it was horrible for me, but I saw some spark there, that something that could be good, right? But you're grinding away. You're grinding away so much, you know there's something there on the other side. But then you start to get frustrated, you get flustered, and then you go out and you look for confirmation that maybe this whole trading thing, like everybody says online, maybe it really is a scam. And what you do is you go and do some negative reinforcement of your negative thoughts, or positive reinforcement of your negative thoughts, mind you. You go out and you see lots of people who are vocal on Reddit, vocal on Facebook, vocal, vocal, vocal. It is a scam. I did XYZ and I lost all this money and I just couldn't do it. And it's a scam because blank, and it's a scam because blank. And nowadays, you're not just hitting up Google and finding search results. No, you're hitting up Gemini, Claude, Grok, and they're pulling from, large language models pull from the internet, and they're telling you the exact same thing. But I had to keep going. I had to motivate myself. And once I found that person who would help me out, and I found other people that I studied off of, once I developed something that would click, that's when everything started to come together. And that's exactly why I teach the exact opposite of all this stuff. That's why I do what I do. Okay. I do what I do. Tell people don't trade prop firms right away. I have a prop firm that I offer people. You shouldn't probably use it. I tell them you should be doing this on paper for 3 months. Don't be like me. Convince yourself that without quote unquote skin in the game, you're not going to have any motivation to continue on because the skin in the game adds up. One person in that group, really nice guy, him and his wife, he spent $25,000 on failing prop firms for 18 months before he finally straightened out his emotional control, before he finally learned to walk away from the computer, before he finally learned how to center himself and take his wins and not overwin, which turns into a loss, and how to stop losing for the day and just say, that's enough. And like Popeye says, I stands all I can stands and I can't stands no more. $25,000 because he wouldn't trade paper, because he said, well, if I trade paper, it's not real and I need it to be real. But the reality with people who get into this stuff on prop firms is that it's really easy to click the reset button, and it's really easy to lose your money. And it's really simple because you don't see a bank balance. It's not taking $100 bill out of your pocket and putting it into a machine in Vegas and going, bye bye, 100. I just spent another 100. It's a psychological trick that siphons money out of your wallet, unless you have somebody to teach you and guide you that you shouldn't be doing that, who can tell you, don't do what I did because it's going to put you in a bad place. I do this every single day on this channel because at one point, somebody gave me a bunch of gobbledygook. And then another person wanted $3,000 for his thing that would get me out of the quagmire. And then when I almost did the thing, I found out that he isn't even there to support the thing. It's just a one-time thing. And if you really want the support from him on the thing, it's like 15 grand for one-on-one coaching for a month. And I thought, that's ridiculous. But the problem with the trading world is that there's a starving, dehydrated, dying man in the desert type of audience. People will go to any length to get information to solve the problem and solve the pain. And what people who are kind of scamming you on the internet know is that you're looking for that solution. It's that a lot of you guys are at that point where you're at your threshold, you're at your crest, and you will do anything to stop it, even if it means blindly throwing money at somebody. And it might not just be because you have trading issues. Maybe you haven't been trading for a long time, but they're preying on you psychologically and emotionally in a state where you're going to make rash decisions that aren't necessarily the best ones so they can get their money out of you. So I have my students, and a lot of you guys get to the end of my daily videos and you say, you're just here to sell your course. Well, no. See, I make the daily videos. They're usually between 5 to 7 minutes long. Sometimes they run long, they go to 8 minutes. But for the first 95% of that, I'm giving you everything I got. It's real, it's valid. And if you did those things and that's all you ever did, you would be set. For the people who can make the decision, they pay under $200 to get the entire 24 hours of the knowledge all organized and in one spot with updates from me down the line and a personal email address so they can send me questions and I can answer. But I'm doing this because somebody got me into this the wrong way. I'm preaching what I preach right now, which is Don't put money into this until you can hold an account for weeks and months at a time without resetting a paper trading account where you can, I don't care how you do it, either you buy a TradeZella, I suggest that to my students, but you can buy TradeZella, it's a trading journal, or you can just take a CSV file from your paper trade account, throw it into an AI and tell it to create a journal for you. That works too, it's free. You have to be 80% consistent, not just in your wins, but in your wins and also in the days won. And you have to be constantly building towards something and walking away from your losses. And I do this because I think that this is the best opportunity that people don't really know about. And it's changed my life and the lives of countless others that I have seen that have either figured it out by themselves over years and years, or maybe a few months from some material that they found somewhere that worked really, really well for them. And if that's what happens and their life has changed for the better, that is fantastic. They have gotten a skill. But if they got to get scammed into it, they're going to go into it for the wrong reasons. They're going to go into it because they think it's a get rich quick scheme. They think they're going to be making all this money within 30 days. They're going to have explaining to do to their checkbook and to their spouse or to their family or to the people who are supporting them the best. The worst feeling in the world for me was like 5 or 6 weeks into all of this. And I'm spending money that we don't really have on prop firms because this guy is telling me any day now and giving me gobbledygook and telling me that he's got my back and inviting me to these private chats that accomplish nothing. Sitting down and facing my wife and telling her, I got to do this. We have no other options. And her asking me, I don't think you're a fool. I believe in you, but at some point, this has to end. And you know what? It did end. It took a lot longer. Patience of a good wife is a virtuous thing. And if you don't have one, that's okay. Hopefully, you find one someday. Because the best feeling I ever had was the first time I had a $6,000 payout from a prop firm. Now, for me, that took a while. It took over a year. For me to hold an account, even if I passed the prop firm test, took a while. That's why I like to talk about psychology and things such as this. But you go from the worst feeling to the best feeling. But if you have somebody get you in for the wrong reasons, then you might not ever get to that level. You might not ever see that change in your life. And trading will change you and make you a better person if you do it for the right reasons and you have the right person helping you out, maybe the right YouTube channels or the right person that you have as a trading partner or the right spouse. It's a combination of things. But if you have the wrong person there doing it for the wrong reasons, for non altruistic ones, it'll destroy you. And I don't want to see anybody get destroyed. So that's how I got scammed into trading and why I do what I do and why I make these videos every day showing you free stuff and free content and why I think that, someday, maybe someday, I can help 10,000 people become better traders than I am and I can leave a mark. And then God asks, what did I do in life? And I say, well, I improved the lives of 10,000 people. And along the way, on my YouTube videos, I talked about your son. So that's my story. You'll subscribe right now if you want to get the daily updates and see where you should be entering and where you should be avoiding and staying out so you can maximize your wins, minimize your losses, and leave us a comment below. Just tell us, hey, would you recommend trading to somebody else? Were you scammed into this yourself? Did you stick through it?